Okay, we're going to go over graphing quadratic functions. So a quadratic function is a function that can be written in standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a does not equal 0. Every quadratic function has a U-shaped graph called a parabola. The vertex is the highest or lowest point on the parabola. The vertex line, vertical line passing through the vertex that divides the parabola into two symmetric parts is called the axis of symmetry. Christina, put it away. The two symmetric parts are mirror images of each other. The graph y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a does not equal 0, is a parabola. We're going to find the x-coordinate of the vertex, which is x equals negative b over 2a. We're going to make a table of values using the x values to the left and right of the vertex, and then we're going to plot the points and connect them with a smooth curve to form a parabola. So it's either going to look like a U, or it's going to be upside down and look like an N. So we're going to follow these things to find the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and to be able to plot the points. Okay. So first we're looking at example 1. We've got this lovely function. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 7. We need to find the axis of symmetry. And in order to do that, we're going to find the vertex first. We're going to find the axis of symmetry of the graph of the function, then we're going to find the vertex. But we're going to do it in the opposite way. Okay. In order to find the vertex, we always plug it into this equation. X equals negative b over 2a. This is always a. A is always in front of the x squared. B is always in front of the x. And c is the number that has no variable with it. So we just plug it in. We go negative 12 over 2 times negative 2. See how I plug those things in? Oh, here's the function. That's A, that's B. A is negative 2, B is 12. So I've got my formula. Instead of A and B, I put in 12 and negative 2. Okay, so you're going to get negative 12 over negative 4, which gives us 12 divided by 4 is 3. Negative divided by a negative gives us a positive. Okay? So this tells us our vertex. From there, we can also tell what our axis of symmetry is. If we are going to make a table out of this. So if our vertex, meaning the bottom or the top of my U, is at x equals 3. So if you look at a graph, 1, 2, 3, you know the bottom of your vertex goes like this. Okay. Looks like a U. Okay. Your axis of symmetry is also the point where it's symmetrical, means if you fold it in half, it's the same on both sides. So we know when x equals 3, it's where you could fold it in half. Okay? Since x is 3, if you want to find the y-coordinate of your vertex, you can plug this into the equation. Y equals negative 2 times 3 squared plus 12 times 3 minus 7. 3 squared is 9, so you get negative 2 times 9 plus 3 times 2 is 6, 36, minus 7, 2 times 9 is negative 18, plus 36 minus 7 is probably easier if I had a calculator in my hand. So we just do negative 18 plus 36 minus 7, and we know our y for our vertex is 11. So 3, comma 11, this is our vertex. Vertex is the bottom or the top of our graph. Okay. All right, we're going to do another one just like this for example 2. We've got the equation y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. Let's start with labeling them. Tanasha, what is a for this one? X squared. And what's in front of x squared? Is there any number in front of it? There's none, so it would be 1. And Christina, what would be b? Negative 2, because it's always in front of that x. And Tyler, what would be c? Negative 3, because it's all by itself. Okay. So let's find the axis of symmetry first. Remember, we've got our equation, and I'll of course have this for you on your quiz, that you can use it. I'll put it up on the board. So I'm just going to plug it in. So I'm going to rewrite everything that I'm not plugging in black, and then in blue, you can see that I'm plugging in negative 2 for B, and I'm plugging in 1 for C. You guys seeing that? Do you get how I put in those numbers? Yep, 2 negatives make it a positive, so we should have positive 2 on top and positive 2 on the bottom. 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. So 1 is our axis of symmetry. Okay, now if we want to find our vertex, what do we do now? We've got our x value. How do we find the y part of the vertex? Well, you're going to plug it back into that original equation. So watch, I'm going to rewrite this equation. Y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. And instead of x, I'm going to plug in a 1. Okay, so I write y equals minus 2 minus 3. And I'm plugging in a 1 here and a 1 here. Instead of an x, I put a 1. Yes, Jasmine. So it would just be 1 times 1. Okay, you're right. There's an imaginary 1 in front of this x. So there's an imaginary 1 in front of here. Okay, 1 squared is 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So we've got 1 minus 2 minus 3. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 3 gives us negative 4 for y. And so our vertex is 1, negative 4. That's the bottom of my bowl, or the top of it if it looks like a hill. Because I know my x value when I plug it into my axis of symmetry equation is 1. And when I plug that 1 in for x, I'm going to get negative 4. Okay, now we're going to do one where we find all of this and then we graph it. So we can actually see what it looks like. So let's turn it over and look at example 3. Okay, so let's go through and label this again. A is in front of which one, guys? The x squared, so that's 1. B, it's kind of like alphabetical order. B is negative 2, and 3, and C is 3, negative 3. Okay, I know I've got to plug it into the negative b over 2a, and that will give me x. So I have minus a negative 2 over 2 times 1 equals x. So my x value equals 1. Okay. I plug that 1 back into my equation to get the y. y equals 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. So I get y equals negative 4. So my vertex, I go over x1 down 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my vertex. Now I'm going to make a table where I plug in x's and y's. So I know that it's symmetrical. So I know whenever x is 0, the y is going to be the same as when x is 2. When x is negative 1, it's going to be the same on the other side. So we're going to do a couple of these. I'm going to do x is 0, x is negative 1, and x is negative 2, and show you how this works. So again, I'm going to plug it into this black equation up here. X is 0, so I get 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 3. So I'm going to get what? 0 squared is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, so I'm going to get negative 3. Now I'm going to replace it with a negative 1. So I've got negative 1 squared minus 2 times a negative 1 minus 3. So I get 1 plus 2 minus 3, so I get 0. Am I going too fast? Okay. Do you guys get how I'm plugging these numbers into? I'm plugging them into here. X squared minus 2x minus 3. So the next one I'm going to do negative 2 squared minus 2 times a negative 2 minus 3. All I did is instead of an x for what's in parentheses, I put a negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So I have 4 plus 4 minus 3. 4 plus 4 is 8, minus 3 gives us 5. Yes, ma'am? Excuse me? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What I want to show you is this. When you plug in 0, you get negative 3. When you plug in negative 1, you get 0. And when you plug in negative 2, you get 5. Okay. Since that bottom point at the bottom is where it's symmetrical, I can go to each of these points and go to the other side. See how this is 1 away from the middle, from my line of symmetry? Here's my line of symmetry. This point is 1 away, but it's on the same y value. This one is 1, 2 away, so on the other side it's 1, 2 away. If I go up here, I can see it's 1, 2, 3 away, so it's 1, 2, 3 away. So instead of plugging in 6 numbers in for your x values, you're only plugging in 3 and then showing me the other side. Yeah? No? Very confused? Don't understand what I'm doing? Okay, we get that symmetrical means it's the same on each side, right? That red line is where I fold my graph in half, and all the points on one side have to match the points on the other. Let's look at example 4. Okay, I've got y equals negative x squared minus 3x plus 1. So let's start with labeling them. Lauren, what is A for example 4? Okay, so what number would be in front of x squared? What kind of one? Negative 1. What's B? Just negative 3. And what's C, Troy? Okay, do you guys remember that equation that we have to plug all these into? Negative B over 2A equals x. So you might want to write this down to do your homework. Step 1.